The Philadelphia 76ers are rising to the top. After a slow start earlier this season, the Sixers have managed to turn things around in the Eastern Conference. The Sixers have finally gained some momentum and are showing the league that they are not done yet. And now with their newly acquired superstar James Harden and their MVP candidate Joel Embiid, the Sixers have defied all odds and are ready for a deep playoff run once again. Despite the slow start to the season, the Sixers have since managed to climb all the way up to the third seed with a record of 35 wins and 23 losses. This was a great turnaround, knowing that they couldn't gain any form of momentum up until the last week of December, where they stood in the middle of the pack and could barely get above the 500 mark. Without their old star in Simmons, the Sixers had to quickly adapt, especially since they had to deal with health protocols, such as when Embiid had to sit out for 3 weeks in November. Fortunately, things changed when Joel came back stronger and absolutely exploded, having the best year of his career to date. Since returning to the lineup, he's averaging an unbelievable 31.6 points, 11.3 rebounds, and 4.4 assists. His impact on the Sixers is especially apparent when we look at the numbers when they have him versus when they don't. With Embiid, the Sixers have a record of 31-15, which is a 67% win percentage. Without him, it drops all the way down to just 33% winning just 4 out of 12 games. This shows just how valuable Embiid is and how much this team relies on him. Because of this, Joel is currently at the peak of this year's MVP race, which is impressive given how tough the competition is when you have the likes of Jokic and Giannis. However, it's not really a surprise given how insanely good he is, and as one of the most versatile centers in recent years, he can take over a game in many different ways. Embiid is a rare type of big man that loves playing the role of a traditional center, yet has the skill set that allows him to dominate in the modern era. He's arguably the most complete center currently in the NBA, often drawing comparisons to many of the legendary bigs in the past. Joel can be dominant in the low post like Duncan, but he also has Dirk's range. He can be physical like Shaq, but can also score with finesse. This is why guarding him is such a difficult task. His offensive tool bag is so deep, which makes it hard to find a game plan against him. Down low, he uses his phenomenal footwork to punish defenders in the low block and in the paint. It keeps the defense guessing as to what move he's going to do next. Notice how this quick hop step followed by the pump fake gets 2 defenders jumping before his easy slam. This play shows just how incredible his footwork is in creating space for his jumper. He makes it look easy, but it's a skill that not a lot of big men can do. On top of this, the deadly combo of his size and length makes it difficult for defenders to hold him down once he positions himself in the paint. He can either muscle his way to the cup, tower over his opponents, or even scarier, both. Just look at how he absolutely bullies his defender in the paint, using his enormous wingspan to score over the top. And here, he bullies his defender yet again to position himself for the and one bucket. Embiid has a commanding presence down low, and once he starts rolling to the rim, most defenders look helpless in front of him. However, it's not just his physicality that makes him a scoring machine. Despite his size, Joel has a good mid-range game, which is something that you don't normally see from a center. He can score in isolation and fire a quick pull-up jumper. Check this out. He shows a little bit of his handles before he just pulls up from mid-range at the baseline. Remember, that's a 280-pound 7-footer playing like a shooting guard. Not only that, his ability to make a shot while off balance is impressive for his size. Watch how he makes swishing this one-legged shot for the and one look easy. His mid-range game allows him to neutralize rim protectors and take them out of their comfort zone. Another thing adding to his versatility is his ball handling. His handles aren't elite by any means, but it's good enough to make his offensive bag that much better. Take a look at this nasty crossover to get his defender out of position, leading to an easy bucket. An off-the-dribble pull-up like this isn't something you typically see from a center. It looks simple, but it keeps the opposing big men on their toes. As if that wasn't unfair enough, Embiid is also one of the best stretch bigs in the NBA today. He's draining 36% of his shots from deep, and he can score either in catch and shoot or in isolation. Check out this clutch step-back 3 over Towns in the 4th to put his team ahead. He doesn't have a lot of quickness given his size, but when you have a center who can be physical in the paint while being crafty enough to score like a guard, the advantage he brings is almost unfair. These are the factors helping Joel become this season's scoring leader, so far putting up a monstrous 29.3 points a game. Beyond his incredible scoring, Embiid can also be an offensive threat in other ways. He's steadily improving as a passer, and his court vision helps him find wide-open shots elsewhere. Look at this beautiful cross-court assist to Curry for a wide-open 3. Beyond that, his gravity in the paint demands a lot of defensive attention, and it often leads to one of his teammates being left unguarded. In this play, the entire Celtics team draws their eyes towards Embiid, allowing him to dish it to the corner green. This adds another layer of difficulty when it comes to guarding him, and if we combine this with his ball handling skills, you'll see a 7-footer capable of facilitating a fast break. Check this out. The 7-footer runs the floor like a guard before finding Milton for the three. It's not hard to see why Joel is one of the most complete and versatile big men in the NBA, but his package also extends to the other side of the floor. He's been phenomenal defensively and is currently 10th in blocks with 1.5 per game. His defensive production is amazing, considering the fact that he's shouldering a lot offensively. In fact, he has the highest usage rate in the NBA today at 37.3. This is good for his stats, but Embiid has a history of being an injury-prone player, so it's not ideal for him to play this much if he wants to prolong his prime. As talented as he is, his health has always been an issue since he entered the NBA. However, the Sixers continue to rely on Embiid because of just how good he's been for the team. Without him, their performance tends to drop dramatically. Joel can do a lot of things, but it doesn't mean that he needs to shoulder all those responsibilities. Luckily for Philadelphia, they were able to acquire superstar shooting guard James Harden, together with Paul Millsap in exchange for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond. Their over-reliance on Embiid will finally come to an end by pairing him with a co-star who's available to play and can take pressure off him. Harden will help him carry the scoring load, but not only that, he can also space the floor and can create his own shots. He fits well with Embiid, and their pick-and-roll connection will be deadly. The Beard can also handle some of the playmaking duties, as he has a lot of experience facilitating an offense back when he was in Houston. Their offense will flow so much better, which is good considering they rank just 14th in offensive rating. Despite Embiid being on fire this season, the Sixers will struggle in the postseason if he's the only scoring threat available. But with this move, the 76ers have raised their ceiling from a playoff team to a squad who has the potential to reach the NBA Finals. This tandem will be a problem in the postseason, particularly for teams who don't have an elite-level defense. Aside from their superstar duo, the development of their young talent will also be crucial for their success, not just this season, but for the years to come. Tyrese Maxey has been huge for this team so far, and his development helped keep the team afloat when they were struggling. His improvement has been fantastic, and he has stepped up as his team's floor general this season. Tyrese is currently averaging 17 points along with 4.8 assists, and if he continues to grow as a player, he can be an elite point guard someday. Likewise, Matisse Thybulle has become much better as a defender. Last year, he was included in the all-defensive second team, but this season, he continued to polish his skills and became a key player for the Sixers' defense. He's currently averaging 1.8 steals per game, which is 5th in the league, and he's now one of the best perimeter stoppers in the league today. As for Tobias Harris, he has been up and down this season, but if he can manage to find consistency and play close to the level where he once was, he'll be a great third option next to Embiid and Harden. Overall, the Philadelphia 76ers have turned their season around with the help of Joel Embiid's leadership, and now that they have James Harden as a second star, they have great momentum going into the playoffs. This team has been dealing with a lot of issues recently, and there's still a lot of work to do, but they have finally taken the first step towards stability, and they're ready to make a lot of noise in the postseason. What are your thoughts on the Sixers this season? Do they remind you of any other teams? For us, if we're going to talk about up-and-coming teams, we have to talk about what the Grizzlies have managed to pull off this season. In this video, we're going to examine the main reason why they're doing so well and how they became an absolute nightmare for opposing teams.